Today, lesson 4C, volume of composite figures. We've done a little bit of volume of prisms and volume of rectangular prisms, triangular prisms, and prisms where we have a trapezoid as a base, so a trapezoidal prism. Today we're going to talk about volume of shapes that are made up of multiple shapes. That's what a composite figure really is. So, a little bit of background knowledge. When we talked about finding the volume of a regular prism in terms of like the shapes that I just talked about, it's the area of the base times the height. We typically represent area of the base with the capital letter B, and the height, we usually call that the altitude, so not to confuse the height of some other shape within whatever the prism happens to be. And when we did it earlier in the year, we notated it like that. Okay? So what I'm talking about is I'm talking about a shape like this, for example. And this would have been the type that you did in the 6th grade. And notice that I have a little note there. Can you please draw that picture perfectly in your notes in the lower or bottom right-hand corner? You got a big open space there. Use that open space and draw the picture exactly like that is. Now, the reason why I'm having you draw this shape is because if you look at some of the other shapes that are in your notes, all of those shapes are made up of 2 or 3 rectangular prisms like that. So here's the deal. If you understand how to find the volume of that right there, then everything that we do today should be fairly simple. So I guess that's my first question. Do all of you know how to find the volume of that shape right there? Yes. Okay, do it right now for me, please. All right? So once again, to find the volume of that, it's the area of the base times the altitude. And I know some of you remember from last year, length times width times height. I don't like to really talk about that because you can only use length times width times height in a rectangular prism. And some of you were trying to do that when we had triangular prisms or trapezoidal prisms, and that doesn't work. So I will always talk about or refer to it as area of the base. The base is that 10 by 5 rectangle, and then multiply by the altitude, and that thing is 7 high, so it is 350 inches cubed. So if you understand truly how to find the volume of a shape like that, today should be easy. The trick is making the basic shapes look like that. Now, when we're doing this, we're really thinking of two-dimensional composite figures. When we talked about these earlier in the year, here's what we did. We broke it up, this one, into this rectangle and that rectangle. Or when we did this one on the right, we broke it up usually right here so that we have this trapezoid right here and we have this rectangle down here. So to find the area of that, we find the area of that rectangle and the area of that rectangle and then add them together. Find the sum of that. For this one, we found the area of that trapezoid and that rectangle, and then we found the sum of those two shapes. Well, that thinking is really what we're doing in many of the shapes that we're doing today. So, let's take a look at number 1, part A. We basically are breaking up number 1 into 3 basic shapes. Now, here's the deal. Some of you, you can look at that and you understand that that is exactly like the shape that I made you draw. But there are a few of you who I know you don't know what to do right now because the numbers are in different places. Because you're used to seeing volume problems with a number right here and a number right here and a number right there. What is the length of this side right here? 12. It's 12. And it should be obvious to you, and to most of you it is obvious, but it's 12 inches. Why? Because that's 12 right there. What's this side right here? 12. It's also 12 because of that 12 right there. So my advice to most of you is I would start filling in these sides exactly where I am. Now what's this side that I just erased? That's a 3. It's a 3 because it's 3 here. Well, it's also 3 right there. So can all of you quickly find the volume of that rectangular, or actually that's a square prism? because the bottom is a square. So my advice to many of you is to, if possible, label all the edges, and I had already done that in red. I just took it off. But the volume of that square prism is 432 inches cubed, because we have 12 here, and 3 here. That means the volume is the area of the base times the altitude, and that is 432 inches cubed. Well, now let's go to number 1, part B. Part B, I'm putting another prism on top of that. So how would I find the volume of that entire shape right there? How would I do that?
You would find the volume of each shape and then add them.
Yeah, just like we did with composite two-dimensional shapes. But didn't we already find the volume of the bottom piece?
Yes.
What was that again?
432 inches.
Okay, so it's 432 inches cubed. Now we need to find the volume of the top one and then find the sum, or add both of them together, because that shape is made up of the square prism on top and then a different size square prism on the bottom. Everybody do that, please. Now, I know for a fact, some of you were taught in 6th grade, this horrible method. Just multiply the numbers together. Well, that's not a very good strategy, because what if I also put an 8 right here and an 8 right there? Because if it's 8 right here, guess what? It's 8 right there and it's 8 right there. And what if I put a 4 right here and a 4 right here? And it is 4 right there because of the 4s down below. So that strategy of just multiplying numbers together, that's the reason why some of you still struggle with triangles and trapezoids and other types of shapes that aren't just regular rectangular prisms or rectangles or things like that. You have to be very careful with that. So we already know that the volume of this piece right here is 432. What's the volume of that square prism right there? Anmal? The top piece. What's the volume of that? 128. 128, is that right?
Yes.
And so that means the volume of the whole thing should be 560 inches cubed. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
All right, so now if you look at 1C, now we're taking that picture and we're going to put another prism on top of that. So let me get caught up here. All right, so now I've put another prism on top of that. So now you should understand enough to be able to find the volume of that entire composite shape. Go ahead and do that, please. Now, we had already found the volume of this piece right here. It was 432, and I believe this one was 128. And then if you looked at the top piece for more than a few seconds, you should have realized it's exactly the same thing as the bottom piece. But even if you didn't, you would have gotten 432 for that one. The volume of the entire shape is the volume of each of the pieces added together. So the volume of that composite shape should be 992 inches cubed. Okay? Let's go to the back side of your notes. Please find the volume of number 2. So hopefully you understand that this is made up of 2 rectangular prisms. We have the one in the back here, and then we have this other one that's in the front. And you're going to have to do a little bit of thinking to fill in the length or width or height that happens to be missing from that front piece. But that should be fairly obvious to you. Find the volume of the entire thing. All right, so I know that the shape that I drew for the back doesn't look exactly like this back piece right here, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just drawing the dimensions so that it looks similar to that first shape that I made you draw down. And the same thing with the front piece. I know that what I just drew in blue doesn't look like that exactly, but it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to find a place for the length, width, and height. So the length here on the back piece has to be 10. And I'm leaving out the units for right now, but it has to be 10 because it's 10 all the way across right there. So it has to be 10 all the way across right there, which is all the way in the front right here. The 2 here happens to be the width of that thing. Because if it's 2 right there, it's 2 right there, it's 2 right there, it's 2 right there, therefore it's 2 right there. And then the height of this thing from here to here is the height right here. So I'm doing that to show you that to find the volume of that back piece, it's, of course, 20 times 9, or 180. Area of the base, which is 20, times the altitude, which is 180. Are we all okay with that? Yeah. Okay, so let me do a bit of erasing here. Just trying to free up enough so I can do the front piece now. All right, so it is 6 from here to here, which is basically the width right there, so it's 6. The 2 that's right here happens to be this 2 right here. And then now I need the height. What's the height of the front? Just say it.
9.
Yeah, look, if it's 9 from there to there, it has to be 9 from there to there, because you can tell from the whole picture that they are the same. So that means it's 9 right there. So the volume of the front piece is 2 times 6, which is 12. And then 12 times 9 is 108. And so that means the volume of that entire piece is 288 inches cubed. Any questions about number 2? And if you didn't get that, you should fix it so that you understand. Okay? All right. Let's go to number 3. Everybody try number 3. So let's take a look at number 3. We need to find the volume of both pieces and then add them together. So to make this look like all the other shapes, this is 4, that's 5, this is 5, which means the volume of that top piece is, looks like that's 100. And then the bottom piece is, once again, to make it look like all the others, obviously that's 3. This here and this here, we have to do a little more thinking. Who can tell me that we consider this to be the length? What is, let me switch pen colors here. What is the length of that shape? Miro?
The length of that shape would be 90.
It would be what?
90.
How could it be 90? How could it be 90? The length can't be 90. Shivnil?
Wait, 6?
It's not 6. It's 6 from there to there, which means that's about from there to there. We need it all the way across. Yes?
11.
It's not 11 either. So maybe 190 is not correct.
10.
It's 10. It's 6 from there to there and 4 from there to there. So it's 6 from here to here and another 4 there. That means that the length of that is 10. Now we need to do the same sort of thinking to find the width here. This was the length. This is the width. We already found the height. So what is the width here? We know it's 5 from there to there, which is about from there to there, but we need to find the rest of that so that we know what that width is. What is the width? Is it 10?
Yes.
All right, it's 5 from there to there, and another 5 from there to there, and that takes us all the way across. 5 and 5 makes 10. And so that means that the area of the base is 30, and 30 times 10 is 300. So that means actually the volume is 400 meters cubed. All right, if you did not get that, fix it right now. All right, so we went through number 3. Number 4, if I were doing this problem, I would break this up right here so that you have a rectangular prism right there, and then another one in the middle, and then the one at the end. But regardless of how you break that up, you may want to break it up chopping the pieces off the top. But regardless, the volume of that composite figure should be 800 meters cubed. Number 5. If I were doing this problem, I would chop it off right here. And we kind of have all the pieces that we need for the bottom piece. So for the bottom piece, it's 6 here, 6 here, and if it's 2 there, it's 2 right there. So for the bottom piece, that would be 36 times 2, so that's 72. Now for the top piece, we need this, we need this, we need this. Well, we know that that's 4. If it's 2 from here to here, that means it's 2 from there to there. And if it's 6 from here to here, that means it's also 6 from there to there and 6 from there to there. So that means the bottom has a base area of 12. And 12, coming from that, times the 4 right here, is 48. And that comes from the top piece. That is, as many of you told me, 120 yards cubed. Any questions about number 5? Michael?
I got 52.
That would not be correct. 120 yards cubed. All right, we are finished.